Picture a marble staircase, gold lettering above the door, and an orchestra playing while the smell of fresh coffee drifts down through 5 floors of white tablecloths. This was the Lyons corner house, and weaving between the tables, tray held high, was the Nippy. Black dress, white apron, white cap, moving so fast they named her after it. For half a century she served London everything from a humble poached egg to towering ice cream sundaes children dreamed about for weeks. Then the doors closed, and most of what she carried vanished with her. We are counting down 25 forgotten foods the Nippies used to serve. Let us begin with number 25. Number 25. Brown Windsor soup opened 1,000 meals at the corner house, ladled steaming into wide bowls before the main course arrived. The Nippy carried it carefully, that deep brown broth thickened with flour and flavored with beef, onions, and a whiff of sherry, the kind of soup that warmed a shopper straight through after an hour in the cold West End. A bowl cost mere pennies in the 1930s, and it came with a soft white roll and a curl of butter pressed with the Lyons mark. Office workers ordered it on their lunch hour. Theatre-goers took it before an evening show. The soup had a reputation: plain, brown, unfussy, the taste of solid English catering. Today, the very name raises a smile, a punchline for old-fashioned cooking. But in its day, it was the dependable first course that started everything, served with a smile and gone in minutes. Number 24. Sardines on toast sat on the lighter side of the menu, the savory snack for those who wanted something hot, but not heavy. The Nippy brought it on a small oval plate, 2 or 3 oily sardines laid across a thick slice of toasted bread, a wedge of lemon on the side, and a shake of pepper. It cost around 4p, cheap enough for a clerk stretching his wage to the end of the week. The fish came from a tin, of course, but warmed through and pressed onto buttered toast, it tasted like a proper little meal. Men reading the evening paper ordered it with a pot of tea. Tired shoppers took it as a quick stop before the bus home. It was unpretentious food served in grand surroundings, a tin of sardines elevated by white linen and silver. That contrast was the whole Lyons magic. Number 23. Deviled kidneys carried a whiff of the gentleman's club into a place where anyone could walk in off the street. The Nippy set down a small dish of lamb's kidneys, sautéed fast and tossed in a sharp, peppery sauce, loud with mustard, cayenne, and Worcestershire, all spooned over a triangle of fried bread. It was a breakfast dish and a supper dish both, the kind of thing a city man would have eaten at home with servants, now offered to a typist for a shilling or so. The smell alone turned heads, rich and meaty and just a little dangerous. Some loved the heat, others found it too strong and pushed it aside. But for those who knew it, deviled kidneys at the corner house meant a small daily luxury, organ meat made elegant, eaten under chandeliers to the sound of a string quartet 2 floors up. Number 22. Welsh rarebit was the corner house favorite that proved cheese on toast could be served with ceremony. The Nippy carried it bubbling and golden, a thick paste of melted cheese mixed with ale, mustard, and a knob of butter, spread over toast and grilled until it blistered. Beans on toast and egg mayonnaise were given the silver service treatment at Lyons, and rarebit was the same, a working-class supper dressed in finery. It cost around 6p, and it filled you up properly. Some Nippies remembered regulars who ordered nothing else, week after week, the same table, the same rarebit, the same pot of strong tea. The cheese came hot enough to burn the roof of your mouth, so you waited, watching the orchestra, letting it cool. It was comfort food before anyone used the phrase humble ingredients made special by the room they were eaten in. Number 21. Egg mayonnaise was the cold plate that showed off the Lyons' knack for making little look like plenty. The Nippy brought it on a bed of crisp lettuce, halved hard-boiled eggs glistening under a generous spoonful of mayonnaise, a dusting of paprika across the top for color. It was the height of refinement in its day, a dish you might serve at a smart luncheon, here available to anyone with 9p in their pocket. The presentation mattered. Lyons trained its kitchens to plate even the simplest food beautifully, and a plain egg became a small event under that pale yellow blanket. Ladies who lunched ordered it to stay light. Office girls shared it between two. The egg was just an egg, but the silver fork, the white cloth, and the murmur of the great room turned it into an occasion. That was the trick Lyons sold better than anyone. Number 20. Beans on toast arrived at your table carried by a uniformed waitress on proper crockery, and that is the part people forget. Here is where the Lyons' genius really showed. They took the cheapest supper in Britain, a tin of beans poured over toast, and they served it with silver service in an Art Deco palace with an orchestra playing. A working man who could never afford the Ritz could sit beneath colonnades and chandeliers and be waited on hand and foot for the price of beans on toast. That was the whole revolutionary idea. Glamour for the masses. Luxury sold by the plateful to anyone who walked in. The beans cost coppers, but the experience cost nothing extra. And that is why people remember it so fondly. The Nippy did not sneer at your order. She brought it with the same grace as a grilled sole. Everyone got the marble staircase. Number 19. The mixed grill was the corner house blowout, the meal you ordered when payday had landed, and you wanted to feel like a king. The Nippy needed both hands for this one. A vast plate crowded with a lamb chop, a sausage, a rasher of bacon, a kidney, a grilled tomato, a flat mushroom, and a fried egg balanced on top. Sometimes a slice of liver squeezed in beside. It cost a couple of shillings, real money in the 1930s, and it took an age to eat. Couples ordered one to celebrate. Soldiers on leave demolished them. The plate came out sizzling, the smell announcing itself 3 tables away, and you worked through it slowly while the band played. It was abundance made visible, proof that even ordinary Londoners could dine grandly. Nothing on a modern menu quite matches the sheer generous sprawl of a proper Lyons mixed grill. Number 18. Steak and kidney pie was the heavy weight of the hot dishes, the proper sit-down dinner the corner house did so well. The Nippy carried it under a lid of golden pastry, chunks of beef and kidney swimming in dark gravy, served with mashed potato and a scoop of greens. It was the meal a man ordered when he wanted feeding properly, not a snack, a dinner. A portion ran to about 1 and 6, and it kept you going all afternoon. The pastry shattered under the fork, the gravy ran rich and deep, and the kidney gave it that unmistakable savory tang. Families up in town for the day made the pie the centerpiece of their treat. Office workers escaped their desks for it. Lyons baked pies by the thousand at their Cadby Hall factory, but plated here, under the lights, with a Nippy refilling your tea, it felt like home cooking done by somebody else. Number 17. Sausages and mash anchored the menu as the dependable hot dinner that never let anyone down. The Nippy brought a plate piled with creamy mashed potato, 2 or 3 plump sausages browned on the griddle, and a flood of onion gravy poured over the lot. It cost around a shilling, the comfort dinner for a cold day in the capital. The sausages came from Lyons' own supply chain, consistent and meaty, and the mash was whipped smooth in vast kitchen vats. Children adored it. Workmen relied on it. There was nothing clever about the dish at all, and that was exactly the point. In a place famous for towering sundaes and elegant pastries, the bangers and mash were the quiet backbone, the order you placed when you simply wanted to be fed and warmed. The gravy alone, dark and sweet with onions, was worth the trip. Number 16. Buttered crumpets meant tea time had arrived, and the corner house did tea time better than almost anywhere. The Nippy carried a plate of them hot from the grill, thick and spongy, the holes flooded with melted butter that ran down your wrist if you were not quick. A round of crumpets and a pot of Lyons tea cost a few pence, the perfect pause in an afternoon of shopping or sightseeing. The butter was the whole event, so much of it that the crumpet turned golden and rich, glistening under the lights. People lingered over them, 2 or 3 at a time, watching the room and listening to the music. It was a small, warm ritual repeated thousands of times a day across the corner houses. Crumpets still exist, but the ceremony around them, the silver dish, the linen napkin, the orchestra, vanished with the Nippies who carried them. Number 15. Toasted tea cakes shared the tea trolley with the crumpets, the slightly grander cousin for those who wanted fruit with their butter. The Nippy split them, toasted them until the currants caught and crisped, then buttered both halves so they soaked through and through. Served warm on a small plate beside a steaming pot, a tea cake cost a few pence and turned a cup of tea into a proper sit-down. The smell of toasting fruit bread filled the floor, mixing with coffee and cigarette smoke and perfume. Tired shoppers revived over them. Couples shared one between two with an extra plate. The tea cake was modest, just sweetened dough with raisins, but warmed and dripping with butter, it became something to look forward to. Lyons sold these national favorites by the trayload, and the Nippy delivered them with the same practiced grace she gave every order, fast and warm and gone. Number 14. Chelsea buns coiled on the bakery counter at the front of every corner house, sticky and golden, and the Nippy fetched them through to your table on request. Each was a tight spiral of sweet dough wound with currants and sugar, glazed shiny on top and pulling apart in a long ribbon. If you unrolled it the right way, they cost coppers, the affordable treat a parent bought to keep a child quiet through a long afternoon in town. The sugar stuck to your fingers and the dough came away in soft, sweet strips. Lyons baked them in their thousands, and the smell near the bakery counter was enough to stop a passerby in the street. Eaten with a cup of tea, a Chelsea bun was a small daily pleasure for working London. They survive in a few bakeries still, but the corner house version, fresh and warm and handed over by a Nippy, belongs to a vanished world. Number 13. Eccles Cakes brought a flake of Lancashire to the heart of the West End. The Nippy set them down small and round, the flaky pastry split and caramelized on top, bursting with a dark, sweet filling of currants spiced with a little nutmeg. People nicknamed them dead fly cakes for the dried fruit packed inside, but nobody turned one down. They cost a penny or two and went perfectly with a strong cup of tea. The pastry shattered into buttery shards the moment you bit in, scattering crumbs across the white cloth. Lyons sold them at the counter and the Nippy carried them to the tables, a portable little luxury for shoppers and clerks. They are still sold today in supermarkets, wrapped in plastic, but a fresh one at the corner house, warm from the oven and eaten under the colonnades, was a different thing entirely. Number 12. Maids of honor were the dainty tarts that hinted at royal history, said to date back to Henry VIII's court. The Nippy carried them through on a tiered stand, small rounds of puff pastry filled with a lemony curd cheese mixture, baked until the tops puffed and freckled golden. They were delicate, refined, the sort of thing you ate with your little finger half raised, 2 or 3 to a serving with a pot of afternoon tea. They cost a few pence each. Ladies up in town for shopping made an afternoon of them, lingering over the music and the passing crowd. The pastry was light as air, the filling sweet and faintly tangy, gone in 2 bites. Few people under 60 have ever tasted one now. The maid of honor faded as the tea rooms closed, a tiny casualty of a grander, slower way of taking tea that Britain quietly let slip away. Number 11. Lyons individual fruit pies were the company's own creation, sold across Britain and served fresh at the corner house tables. The Nippy brought one on a plate, a small deep pie of short crust pastry crimped around a filling of apple, blackcurrant, or cherry, dusted with sugar and best eaten warm with a jug of cream. They cost pennies, the everyday pudding for someone who wanted something sweet, but not a whole gâteau. The pastry was sturdy enough to hold in one hand, the fruit inside dark and jammy. Lyons turned these out by the million from their factories, but on a corner house plate, warmed through with cream poured over, the humble individual pie felt like a proper dessert. Generations of British children knew that little pie. The brand outlived the corner houses, but the experience of being served one by a Nippy, warm and fresh, went the way of the orchestras. Number 10. Bakewell tart graced the dessert trolley as one of the Lyons signatures, a recipe the company still sells to this day. The Nippy cut you a wedge, the short crust base spread with a layer of jam and topped with a soft almond frangipane, sometimes finished with a thin sheen of white icing and a single glace cherry. It cost a few pence a slice and went down a treat with afternoon tea. The almond sponge stayed moist, the jam bled red into the pale filling, and the whole thing carried that unmistakable marzipan scent. Up and down the floors of the corner house, the Bakewell was a steady favorite, ordered by people who knew exactly what they wanted. Lyons made it a household name. You can still buy a Lyons Bakewell in the supermarket, but a fresh-cut slice carried to your table by a Nippy beside a steaming pot was the proper way to take it. Number 9. Treacle tart was the sticky, golden pudding that turned stale bread and syrup into something children begged for. The Nippy served it warm, a slice of short crust filled with breadcrumbs soaked in golden syrup until it set into a chewy, glistening sweetness, lemon zest cutting through the richness. It cost pennies and arrived with a jug of custard or cream. The filling clung to the fork and pulled in soft amber threads, sweet enough to make your teeth sing. Lyons sold treacle tart at the counter and plated it in the restaurants, and it was the pudding that vanished the fastest when tastes turned. Golden syrup, that tin with the lion on the label, was a Lyons staple of the British pantry. The corner house treacle tart was its finest hour, warm and gooey under the lights, a slice of pure, comforting sweetness that few places bother to make properly anymore. Number 8. Battenberg cake stood out on the trolley for its sheer cheek, the pink and yellow checkerboard that looked like nothing else. The Nippy cut a neat slice to reveal the 4 squares of sponge inside, 2 pink, 2 yellow, held together with apricot jam and wrapped in a smooth blanket of marzipan. It was a showpiece, a cake designed to be admired before it was eaten, and Lyons made it famous across the country. A slice cost a few pence with your tea. Children stared at the bright checkerboard pattern, prizing the marzipan off first. The sponge was light, the almond paste sweet and chewy. Lyons branded the Battenberg and sold it nationwide, and it survives on shelves today. But seeing one sliced fresh at the corner house, the pattern revealed clean and sharp, served by a smiling Nippy, was a small theatrical pleasure the plastic-wrapped version can never match. Number 7. Swiss roll was the Lyons sponge that rolled its way into every British memory. The Nippy brought a slice of it, spiraled tight, light sponge wound around a layer of red jam, sometimes cream as well, the whole thing dusted with sugar. It cost coppers and partnered perfectly with afternoon tea. The spiral was the magic, that pinwheel of sponge and jam that no child could resist unrolling. Lyons produced Swiss rolls on an industrial scale at Cadby Hall, feeding the nation, but a fresh slice on a corner house plate was the gold standard. The sponge stayed soft and springy, the jam sweet and sharp. It was the dependable everyday cake. Never fancy, always welcome. The Swiss roll survives, of course, boxed up in supermarkets. But the version the Nippy carried, fresh cut and tender, eaten to the sound of a live orchestra, is a memory now rather than a menu item. Number 6. Trifle was the corner house celebration in a glass, layered tall and proud for everyone to admire. The Nippy carried it carefully so the layers stayed put, sponge soaked in sherry or fruit juice at the bottom, then jelly, then a thick blanket of custard, all crowned with whipped cream and a scatter of hundreds and thousands or toasted almonds. Lyons made its own trifle sponges, sold across Britain to build exactly this. A glass cost around 6pence and was a treat in itself, a pudding you spooned down through every layer to taste them all at once. Families ordered it for a child's birthday treat in town. Couples shared one. The cream sat cool against the warm sweetness of the soaked sponge below. It was the grand finale of a corner house meal, a little tower of indulgence, built fresh and served with a flourish, gone when the great rooms closed their doors. Number 5. The chocolate eclair was the patisserie jewel that brought a touch of Paris to Coventry Street. The Nippy delivered it on a small plate, a long finger of choux pastry split and piped full of fresh cream, the top dipped in a glossy, dark chocolate that cracked when you bit through. It cost a few pence and demanded to be eaten carefully, the cream threatening to escape at both ends. Lyons trained its bakers to turn these out beautifully, light and crisp, and generously filled. Office girls treated themselves on a Friday. Children pointed at them through the glass of the bakery counter. The contrast was perfect. Crisp pastry, cool cream, snapping chocolate, all in one elegant bite. It was the kind of refined little luxury that felt impossibly glamorous to ordinary Londoners, and the corner house handed it out across the counter all day long. Fresh, cream-filled eclairs like these are a rarer find now than people think. Number 4. Peach Melba brought a flash of Edwardian elegance to the dessert menu, a dish invented for an opera singer and served to typists and tourists alike. The Nippy carried it in a tall glass, a scoop of vanilla ice cream topped with a poached peach half and drenched in bright raspberry sauce, sometimes finished with flaked almonds or a curl of cream. It cost a shilling or so, a touch of the high life for an ordinary afternoon. The cold ice cream against the soft, sweet peach, and the sharp red coulis was a combination that felt impossibly sophisticated. People ordered it to feel grand. Lovers shared a glass. It carried a whiff of grand hotels and opera houses, here made available to anyone who walked in off the street. That was Lyons all over, giving the masses a taste of luxury they could never otherwise afford, served cold and beautiful in a tall glass. Number 3. The banana split stretched the length of the dish and the limits of a child's eyes. The Nippy set it down long and loaded, a banana split lengthwise cradling 3 scoops of ice cream, drizzled with syrup, scattered with nuts, and topped with whipped cream and a glacé cherry on each peak. It was a treat for the bold, the order that made the table next door turn and stare. It cost more than a simple ice, but for a birthday or a special day in town, it was worth every penny. Children worked through it with total concentration. Couples shared one with 2 spoons and a lot of laughing. The banana, the cold ice cream, the warm syrup, the crunch of nuts all at once was pure happiness in a boat-shaped dish. Few places serve a proper banana split anymore, but at the corner house it was a small daily carnival. Number 2. The ice cream coupe was the corner house sundae served in a wide stemmed glass, the elegant cousin of the towering sundaes, and a nippy favorite to carry. Lyons made ice cream was a national name, the great rival to Wall's. And here it came dressed up, scoops layered with tinned fruit, a pour of syrup, a swirl of cream, and a wafer standing proud on top. It cost 9 pence or so and felt like a real indulgence. The coupe glass made it sparkle under the lights, the colors of fruit and cream and ice on show. Shoppers rewarded themselves with one. Children chose theirs by which fruit sat on top. It was simple, just ice cream and trimmings. But the glass, the wafer, the setting, and the Nippies flourish turned it into an event. When Lyons closed, that particular ceremony of the served sundae, cold and bright and beautiful, melted away with it. And finally, in first place, the Knickerbocker Glory crowned every dessert menu as the most famous thing the Nippies ever carried. The Nippy brought it in both hands, a glass so tall it barely fit on the tray, built up in glorious layers of ice cream, jelly, tinned fruit, syrup, and cream, the whole thing finished with a cherry on top and a long spoon to reach the very bottom. Children stared at it across the room and begged their parents for one. It cost more than a simple ice, the order of a birthday or a real day out in town, and it was worth every minute of the pleading. You ate it slowly, working down through each layer, the cold sweetness and the wobble of the jelly and the soft, tinned peaches. It was the showstopper, the dessert that defined an afternoon at the corner house, the one everyone remembers. The Knickerbocker Glory outlived the Nippies who built it, but never again with the same theater, the same long spoon, the same orchestra playing while you spooned your way to the bottom of the glass. Those were 25 forgotten foods the Nippies carried, from a humble brown soup to that towering glass of glory. They were more than meals. They were a taste of luxury handed to ordinary Britain, beans on toast under chandeliers, an eclair to the sound of a string quartet. Tell me in the comments which one you remember, or which one your Nan talked about. And if you would have ordered the Knickerbocker Glory, you are in good company.